Welcome to Inside the Program, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors on the Inside Texas YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, head to Inside Texas. Sign up. It's a great time of year. A lot of news flying around, especially on the recruiting front, as Texas is set to host a junior day. They're looking for members of the class of 2026, but we got some good news to talk about today, Eric, about the class of 2025, and most of those guys have made their way to campus and are starting their careers in the Texas football program as we speak.
Yeah, it was a fun juxtaposition with the way the week played out. You had all these precocious, excited high school players showing up on one end, and then you had a lot of the professional side of it on the other side of the weekend. So the week started plainly enough with the freshman arrivals, like they do every year. They're starting to get acclimated into the program as far as strength and conditioning. Their first workout will be today with a light lift and light conditioning. Really what the strength and conditioning staff wants to see is that they understand how to lift, they're doing them properly and safely. They want to get a baseline understanding of how big they are, how tall they are, just so they can monitor their growth throughout their time in the program. They want to get baseline strength measurements. And so basically they're just going to get acclimated to the strength and conditioning program starting today, and then they'll be joined by the rest of the team, I believe, on the 27th. Today's the 17th, so in about 10 days. The rest of the team is getting a little bit of a break after the very long season that just ended, a week ago today.
It's always you forget just how much information some of these young players have to absorb. Even if you go to like a powerhouse program, you have a strength and conditioning staff of a handful of coaches, and they are assistant coaches. You arrive at Texas and you are presented almost with information overload. But it is really, really important for these guys to learn how to lift, learn how to do all the things, so they're not really concerned about the fact that, like, am I doing this right? They can work on just, hey, am I getting stronger and ready to play if the Texas Longhorns need me this season? And we could see a couple players. Let's start in the trenches. There could be a couple players in the trenches who see some immediate action on the defensive front, and they're starting to figure out what spots are going to fill position-wise for Pete Kwiatkowski's defense.
Yeah, Justice Terry's already been on campus enough where he's made his way to the weight room, and that I can't say what was said about him on air, but it was started with an F and had an ing at the end. He's effing strong. We're hearing the same things about him that we heard about Anthony Hill, where they're just different in the gym. Some guys are explosive but not as strong. Some guys are strong but not as explosive, where guys like Justice Terry and Anthony Hill are both. And that's, you enter freak territory. We had one reader on Inside Texas this week mentioned that he got to see one of the bowl practices. And of course, Justice Terry got to school early and was able to participate. And he said he'd be surprised if he didn't go back to back with Colin Simmons on Freshman Player of the Year, just based on what he's seen. So early on, Terry's living up to the hype. We always like what we hear early on. That a lot of times that carries forward into the spring, and then we hear it again in August. Then watch out, you're going to have a breakout player. All the early hallmarks that you want to hear about Terry are there, and of course, there's need at defensive tackle, especially for an interior pass rusher. Lance Jackson, of course, he looks really good too. For now, he's at edge. We're curious to see how he adapts to strength and conditioning. His body could go a couple of different ways. I tend to think he's going to remain a very large edge. You could tell the staff thinks he's going to be an edge because they did not take any other jack linebackers in the class, and they were still trying to go heavy on numbers at defensive tackle. So they kind of view him as an edge. But worst case scenario, he grows into a 310-pound interior monster. That's perfectly fine. Line him up next to Justice Terry, and good luck with that. But yeah, those are guys standing out early on. But there's a whole lot more going on with the freshmen.
For those freshmen, as we kind of move out away from the ball, where the old saying is, the further away from the ball you are, the easier it is to get some early playing time. They may need those guys for early playing time, and that's talking about guys like Khalil Lockett, Jamie French, maybe even a few guys possibly on defense, but offensively for sure at the skill positions. There may be a youth infusion, and that's not just from 2025 guys. That's redshirt freshmen as well.
Well, what we wrote about in the Humidor today was the true freshman skill players need to be ready to participate early on. Tashard Choice kind of had a cryptic note when the press met with him ahead of bowl practice, that he said he was good at running back. I'm not so sure about that. Jaden Blue just hit the NFL draft, or is going to go to the NFL draft. CJ Baxter coming back from injury, Christian Clark coming back from injury. Jarrett Gibson's going to have a good offseason. I feel confident of that, but he's still a little bit unproven. Really, the only proven guy you have is Trey Wisner. So they're challenging the freshman running back, James Simon and Ricky Stewart, to come in and do the right things, get their bodies right, get as strong as fast as possible. And then, in spring ball, they're going to push them even harder to, worry about blitz pickup, understanding where the ball's supposed to go within the run scheme. So they're being challenged. And then we know at receiver, they didn't take a wide receiver in this portal block. Some of that, had to do with retention. They were able to keep a guy that they needed to keep. That was pretty big. But these true freshmen are going to have all the chance in the world this offseason to be able to come in and be ready. Now, we heard a lot of good things about Ryan Wingo, and surely he flashed his talent. He's an amazing talent. He's going to have a huge career. I think he's going to have a big breakout next season. But it's still only materialized in, what do you have, 25 catches or something, where the talent is way more beyond the 25 catch season. So these guys are going to have to do other things to prove that they're ready to come in and play, be on the same page with quarterback, with Arch Manning. And just earn the trust to get more targets. I felt Wingo should have received more targets. This class, this wide receiver room going into next season, the way it's currently comprised, is way too much boom or bust for my liking. They've got to outfit Arch with some reliable targets. That'll probably happen in the spring. We'll talk about that later. But there's playing time available for these true freshmen. They've got to come in and grab the bull by the horns and prove they're ready.
Khaleke Lockett, Dalen McCutcheon, Jamie French, and I always forget one whenever I go through this.
Well, they only took 3 receivers. So you got it right. If you're thinking you forget one, you'll be trying to remember that one for a long time.
Oh, man. Before we go any further, here's someone you should not forget. That's Andre the Lawyer.
This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the Lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the Lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
Talk a lot about retention, talk a lot about the portal. We had two examples of that pop up in these past couple days. The portal deadline, at least for going to the compliance department and saying, put me in, was at the end of day Wednesday. Similar applied for underclassmen making their declaration for the NFL. We had seen, I think, 5 or 6 Longhorns declare. We did not get a public word either way on Trey Moore until his name was not among those on the NFL's list. He's going to come back next year, he along with Colin Simmons, and he's going to give the Texas Longhorns some great edge rushers to work with for the 2025 defense. Yeah,
I think they didn't really keep him out of the portal. They kept him out of the draft. They wanted him back. There's no doubt about it. And a lot of fans are like, well, he's not going to play like Colin Simmons. Well, first of all, they like to rotate a lot anyways, no matter what. Anthony Hill, we've seen Anthony Hill rotate out and make way for linebackers. So, they're going to rotate. They really like the idea of keeping guys fresh within games, but also keeping them fresh for the entire season. Texas expects to play a lot of games. Trey Moore is a very important part. And let's say Colin Simmons turns an ankle before you get ready to play Georgia. You're not going to have any concern going in with Trey Moore starting as your buck. You still have one of the best bucks in the country. So getting Trey Moore back is huge. There's going to be times where it's Colin Simmons and Trey Moore on the field at the same times. They're going to play both sides, even though they're a little undersized for that Baron Sorrell role over there. They're going to play them both. And you got Ethan Burke. The edge room is fantastic. I got a free article up. I think I wrote it last night. All these days are running together this week. It's been a wild week. But I think I got a free article up on Trey Moore over on InsideTexas.com. Go to the front page. You can find that. It talks about, snap allocation, how they plan to use him. He's going to be a big piece of the puzzle next year. Edge room, linebacker should be the best in the country. So that's a big development. Niblack leaving. I don't know, man. Alabama, these Alabama guys aren't really the highlight of the Alabama guys. Okay, you got Keelan Robinson. Outside of that, who's the edge they took? He's a linebacker. I'm drawing a blank.
Ben Davis.
Ben Davis,
the team leader in sacks that season.
Yeah, Ben Davis. I think the highlight of all the Alabama guys outside of the way that Keelan Robinson balled out was Ben Davis kind of coming in and being the general in practice and talking a lot of trash to guys, telling them they don't know how to work that first year. So that Ben Davis was that's it. That's a highlight outside of Keelan Robinson. So no more Alabama guys, we hope, unless Jamarian Miller wants to jump in. Yeah, so Niblack, I heard some people call him a potential starter. He wasn't going to start, doesn't block. Flex tight end had trouble catching the ball. Now some of that was limited use. It's like getting no at bats and then you're expected to come in and save the game. That's not going to happen. But just they need more of a sure thing. So that room was already a little thin. They tried to get the Purdue tight end that ended up at Ohio State. That'll be a need they'll continue to look to address. But I've been extremely high on Jordan Washington. Man, all the opportunity in the world is there for him. Spencer Shannon, we've covered him quite a bit on IT as far as if he has another big spring. He had a good year offseason last year, much better than his first offseason. If he has another good offseason this year, they'll probably be able to count on him as an inline blocker. Jordan Washington is going to be a two-way tight end. He might have some trouble blocking his first year, as young tight ends, inexperienced, tend to do. And then you got some freshman guys that might come in and play. It's unfortunate that Nick Townsend is going to be a later enrollee. I thought he would have had a chance to play a lot. We'll see. They're going to have to defer to the portal and get somebody. But you can find a good, reliable tight end in the portal. They don't have to be a world beater. Just come in and be not a liability at the point of attack. Catch the ball when you're throwing it. They should be okay.
One quick note on Trey Moore. Somebody on Inside Texas kind of asked how the positions get split up, and I was kind of trying to make a depth chart. And if it's not Trey Moore, either you're bringing somebody back over to Buck like Vosick or like Ethan Burke, or you're relying on Smith Arogbo to do some stuff pretty early in his career, which wouldn't work. So Trey Moore gives that position a floor that was desperately needed. Even with Colin Simmons being there, like you said, they rotate a lot, and rotating with an extremely athletic and a guy who's got a very high ceiling, but we don't know what he is right now. And Smith Arogbo just would not have worked well for the 2025 defense.
Yeah, unless Arogbo is Joseph Osai, he's not going to be ready to play early. And I think he needs to get some strength. The whole value of Arogbo was that he would have time to not the whole value, I shouldn't say that, but a lot of the value was he would have time to develop behind Colin Simmons. But yeah, you want to be able to keep Colton Vosick over there with Ethan Burke, and then instead of those guys playing on opposite sides of the line or opposite ends of the D line like they did at Westlake, I anticipate they're going to rotate quite a bit. And then, let's not forget Zena Umeozulu, who a lot of people are high on him. And then, of course, you got Lance Jackson. It's going to be kind of tough to keep that guy off the field. So they're going to have a lot of different packages they can run. It's going to be that room is stacked. And, Colton Vosick, again, we get caught up on Colin Simmons and, everybody knows Ethan Burke, but Colton Vosick has huge potential. So that room's in great shape.
Played in the playoff. So kind of says what they think about his ability. Let's talk a little bit about guys who maybe are not on the Texas roster right now. The Longhorns made their additions in the winter window. They got 2 defensive tackles. They made an addition at punter, and they added a linebacker. I think that's it. Brad Spence, Brevard, the North Carolina.
Yep.
And then Boomeister, the punter. But we're talking about a lot of youth, and unlike previous years of college football, you can get old pretty quickly at the snap of your fingers, or maybe with the writing of a check in some instances. So maybe what are some of the places where you anticipate Texas continuing to look for additional help in the transfer portal?
Well, still defensive tackle. They've got. I really like Brevard and Shaw. I think both of them have more potential than they've demonstrated. I think they have higher upside than they've demonstrated. Well, Shaw, everybody knows his upside is there, but I think Brevard, I think he can be a pretty good player. He's quick off the ball, shows long arms, and physically mature. So I like that duo, but they need at least one more. And then Justice Terry is going to play. One of Sharma. If you saw a picture of Sharma on campus the other day, he looked like he was wearing his pads underneath his clothes. He's a massive guy. Kind of looked like Tavondre Sweat. They're going to be able to get away with playing some young guys. Of course, you got January. I don't want to forget him. But I think they need another defensive tackle for sure. Probably another wide receiver. They like some of the wide receivers that went in this past week. Penn State had a couple good guys that would, they would elevate the floor of the room. But, with being able to retain all the guys they did, I think that they're going to wait and see if they can get a really good stud. But they also really like their young guys as well. So it's going to have to be the right fit. But I do think they'll need another wide receiver. They've got to raise the floor in that room for Arch Manning. You can't go in there. You cannot go in Arch Manning's first year starting with questions at wide receiver. That would be malpractice. So they'll have to do something there. Running back, again, lots of questions there. That's, inexperienced guys coming back from injury. I think Trey Weiser is more of an RB2 and also special teams demon. He can be a starter, don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure that that's maximizing the offense. And then, DB, I could see them taking another DB, a versatile guy that helps them shift players around, move players around. That's going to be something to watch for. They're just gonna, if a guy upgrades the roster, they're going to be aggressive. They know that there's no deferring to the year after next year. They're trying to win it all next year. They think they're right in the thick of it with everybody else. And so they're going to be aggressive. And, one thing I mentioned on Inside Texas is that in this day and age, agents are a pain in the ass. There's no doubt about it, but it also makes it easier to find a player when you need a player.
Exactly. So should be pretty fun to track. I think that spring portal window is early May, maybe late April. And we'll see what happens if the spring portal windows stick around because of all the changes going on in the sport. So always a good time to head to InsideTexas.com, subscribe there. Again, got a junior day coming up in about a week. So you're going to want to get all the latest information. And of course, we will keep track of everything over the course of off-season workouts. We'll also do that here on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. So make sure you like the video and subscribe. Eric, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. This has been Inside the Program presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel.